Hello everyone, this is Pedro from Pythalista with one more video. Today I'm gonna do a little bit different here. I'm always taught backend, and today I'm gonna give it a try on my front end skill, which are not very good. But I've been exploring Tailwind, and I'd like to just go through the process of designing a chat application, which is a very simple application that I've done here pretty much using HTML, CSS, Tailwind, and also a little bit of JavaScript to give this effect. I wanted to later integrate that with the back end of a chat application like an LLM, but that's the shell to feed into the prompt and feed into the responses of the conversation. So that's a very simple one. I have like a header, a body, and at the bottom here I have a form where I can ask questions. So I can just put my question here and then send that to the server, and that's gonna give me an answer. That's a mock answer. And then I can keep on asking. And then once I do another question, that's gonna scroll down to the bottom automatically. All right, guys, let's get started from scratch. All right, I'm here from my terminal. So let's make a new folder. I'll call it Tailwind chat. Let's cd into that one and open VS Code. So I've got some prerequisites here. I obviously have got Node installed on my machine. I've got VS Code, and I also installed a few extension. One is Prettier for formatting my HTML code and everything JavaScript. It's a very common extension for front-end developers. And also I have Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. So that's gonna get the same results that I do. So let's get started creating oh, there's another one which is live server. When we wanted to put that code HTML live, that helps your development. So first one, let's create like an index.html file. So, and then to create HTML, if you have the printer, there is a, I think it's from VS Code, it's called Emmet. So if you do HTML and then put the HTML5 and press enter, and that will give like a bit of a boilerplate. And then the title, you can put something like chat tailwind. All right, so and then you can see that when I saved, I think I've configured my printer to configure on save, or format on save. So the HTML here has these elements. So it's got the body and the head. So everything is going to happen in the body. So for us, we'll have three elements here. We have a header. So let's put a comment here, header, and then we'll have the main chat body. And then I'm just comment that one. And then at the end, we'll have a form. So sorry, didn't want to form chat. Yeah, I'm just comments to and then later you can see the documentation. So the structure are going to be a pretty simple header, which is going to be, I'm going to put a header tag, and just like a H1, call it chat assistant, which is the one that you can see here, but that's with the CSS. So the main body, I'm gonna have a few containers here. So I think I'm gonna have an outer container, the main container that's everything's gonna be inside. I'll create like a div, So that's the main one. And then I have inside that, I'll have a chat container. I'm just gonna call it, I'll just give an ID of, this one is gonna be the main container. And then inside that, I'm gonna have another div, which is gonna be the, I'll give an ID as well of ID equals, so it needs to be inside that. I'll call it chat container. Cool. And then inside the chat container, I'll have the speech bubbles. That's gonna be the assistant message and also the user message, right? So that's gonna be another, and then it's gonna be the divs that are gonna be repeated. So that one here, I'll call it assistant message, and oops, and then inside that message, I will have, I think inside, because I'm using Flex containers here, I'll have another div inside with the message where I'm gonna be, I have a paragraph, and also which is gonna be hello, how can I help you? So that's the assistant, and then after that, I'm just gonna have a span, which is another HTML element with the time. I'll put like in 24-hour time because it's easy when it comes to code. I think that's it for the assistant message. And then I'm just gonna copy that thing. So, which is that. And then below that, that's gonna be exactly the same, but instead of assistant message, it's gonna be the user message. User message. And then I'm just gonna copy here the question of the user. All right, cool. And then let's put another assistant message response, which is that one, up to here. And then where this one ends is here. And then I'll just copy the text here. And then I think that's it for now. And that's the structure. And that's gonna look pretty bad in terms of like, and then at the end we'll have a form, and then that also going to be inside a div, and then that I'm just gonna create a form and no action so far, and then inside this form I'll have an input text, and then also I'll have, because there's no closing for input, and then I have a button that's gonna be sent, and that's the basis for everything. And then we're just gonna pretty up to make it functional. So let's see how this looks like in HTML, pure HTML. I'm just gonna open my Go Live and open my browser. So that's, look the difference. I'm gonna go from that to that. That's crazy, isn't it? Just with CSS. So I have one thing called, it's called pesticide, which show like this. HTML are boxes. So remember when I create those divs, so those are those boxes. And what the CSS does it kind of like give like colors tests and align things to the right, to the left. And that's what it does. So I'm just gonna turn that off. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the code and start to make it look pretty. And then because it's on a live server, we can see the things happening. Let's do the header first. Before, we need to install Tailwind. I can use like CDN, but I'll teach you how to do it a local installation. So let's do follow the documentation here. So I'm going to go installation and then go to Tailwind CLI. I've already installed Tailwind CLI here. I have on my CLI. What I need to do now, I create like in source input CSS. Let's do the same structure. Let's create a folder, source, and then I'm just gonna copy that one there inside. I'm gonna move, and then it says to create a file called, what's the name? Source input CSS. Not here, here. So input.css, and then inside that file, just copy this one. Cool, save. Then on the command line, copy this. And I think it should create like an output file. Maybe, I think I need to do this one first, sorry. I think it's gonna create like a little Tailwind project. Yeah, let's try again. Yeah, so now it created this output, which has got all the classes for the CSS. And that's the version 4.1. I think we need to import here at the top. So we need to have this link here, which is gonna link my CSS to my HTML. So that's after meta on the head. And that should make things better. Cool. Let's start to style this thing. So first thing is the header. So I'm just gonna change and the classes go on inside the element. So here I call it class, and then I'm just gonna do background. Oh, can you see the nice colors of the extension? That's gonna be gray, and I'm just gonna put the 800. All right, that's done. And then the next class, I'm gonna put a border, also gray, and 700. That's the border to give some contrast. And then I'm just gonna do a border bottom, and I'll pad that 4. So you need to have some understanding of CSS here. So I'll show you what I mean here. So if I go back to my browser, and then yeah, so and then if I inspect that, so I started to, can you see that green here? That's the padding. So let's style now this chat assistant here. So inside my H1, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do text white. Oh, it put class first, and then text dash white. That's it. And after that, I'm just gonna put the extra large text, not 2x, no, text dot extra large. So that's exactly what's in there. Let me refresh that. So can you see that it changed? Cool. So next step, let's do the background. So the background of the body, so which is going to be for everything. I'm just going to put a class. So background, I'm put a very dark one, gray, and then 900. Then I'm just gonna, for now, I have other configurations I'll do later, just for alignment and everything. So let's see how it looks like. So it's all dark. Okay, let's keep on doing. Now let's do the main container. So there is one thing called flex, which is like make things flow in line. So usually it's like horizontal if you have any horizontal configuration. But let's start putting in and you see what's gonna happen. So I'm just gonna make this class a flex container and also flex one, and then flex. I need call instead of like row. Oh, because the default is row. I'm just wanted to make all the child elements as in column. So flex call. Next one, I wanted two items to be sent. Let's see how it looks like so far. Let's see. So nothing changed, but I want the things to center at the center of the main container. So I'll put items center, and that's it for now. Let's see if it changed something. Yeah, can you see that the things, at least everything that's inside this container is centered? You know, that's the main container, and I have those two boxes inside. Good. So let's continue with the assistant message. So assistant message class, it's going to be flex as well, and I want to put a marge bottom of 6 just for the chat not to be touching each other. So let's see how it looks. Yeah, you see it kind of like separate a little bit, and then I want that inside div here, where the text is. I'll also put a class of the text. The text is not white at the moment; it's black because it's not a child element of the header. So let's put text white as well. Cool. Let's see how it looks like. Yeah, good. After the text white, I want max width for the size of that box. I'm just gonna put maximum width extra small. Cool. And yeah, you see that's for if I'm on a mobile. What I'm gonna do is like more what they call responsive design. So how you do this responsive design in Tailwind, you say, if I say large, and then I do a column, and then I do max width 3x large. So what does it mean is that once my screen reaches the size large or bigger, that's gonna expand my container, which is in this case, you can see that. Let's just save that. Let's see if that makes a difference. No. So that's the responsive design when I do the shrink. It looks like it's not, there's something that I'm doing wrong here. Let's see what it is. Yeah, that's it. Probably there's something that I have to still complete. And then let's also make this text white. This is already white. I don't need, because I don't need to put here on that one because it's already applied as a child element of this one. All right, so next step is to do the user message. I'm just gonna the user message is gonna be this one, which has got this round thing here. Can you see the round? The way you achieve this, first, let's see the user message, the top one. I want that to be on the right, and then I put class, I put flex, and then I do justify end. Is that end? Yeah. And then I also wanted to do a margin bottom 6. Cool. So let's refresh. Can you see that that one went to the right and then added the bottom margin? So I also want that inner class here, the text to be also white. Cool. And I want the background of that one to be a little bit different, the gray background. I want it to be gray 600, which is that intermediate one, like that. But can you see that it's a little bit too bad? So to get things better, I'm just gonna do a rounded. Sorry, it should be inside that. Rounded, large, but everything is gonna be not like a pill. That's gonna be like more like a pill if I do only one. But I want that edge here to be not rounded. Otherwise, it's going to be not what I want. So I do the rounded none. I think it's bottom right. So bottom right radius. So that's going to be like that. Beautiful. I just need to add some padding now. I think it's taking too long. I'm just gonna copy and paste because it's gonna take too long to go everyone, but I'll explain. So the padding is gonna increase the distance of the text to the edge of that div here. And I put a maximum width to extra small and a large to 3 times x. So let's see. I'm just gonna, yeah. So it's starting to get to what I want. And then from that one, so I want this text to be small, extra small. So I'll just send that to text extra large now, extra small. I think extra small be enough to just to be a little bit less than the parent. So and then I'll apply that to that one as well. It's getting there. So that's the agent, that's me. So what else? Because I've already done that one here at the top, the assistant. Let me just finish the assistant completely. That one, exactly as I wanted. And then the only thing left is the form at the bottom. So let's see how it's looking. Good. On the form, I'm just gonna add that div. I'm just gonna put class background is gonna be also gray, but of the 800. And I'm just gonna put a border top, and the border color is border gray, and that's gonna be 700. And I would give like a padding of 4. Cool. And let's see how it looks. So it's getting better. Yeah. But the form is here at the side. Let's fix that. And the chat form is gonna be class flex, also max width extra large, and max auto. I think that's to center the thing. And then space. I don't know even why this is here, but I think it's to give space in between the elements, the form and the button. Let's see. So that's little space, but it's still not centered. I think let's the input message. Let's put the class here, and then I'll explain what it is. The input message should be here. So it's going to be a flex black background clay rounded. I just want that text box to be rounded. And text grade 200 and padding of 4. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, it's much better. Good. And I want also a placeholder text. To ask me questions, which is inside that. Let's configure. And I have also a type text, and I'm just gonna put like an ID just when I do the JavaScript code. And let's configure the button. The type of the button is going to be submit button, and the class, I'm just gonna copy and paste. And I'm just gonna show in Tailwind where you can find those classes. So it's gonna be text white, background 4, and then I'm just gonna put a hover effect. It's gonna turn into blue 500 when you need to hover on top of it. That's it. So if you hover here, it becomes blue. So that's what it does. What else is missing? Good. I think I now need to add the main container. You see that that thing is not occupying the whole viewport, and this thing is not centralized. But let's fix first this thing not occupying the whole thing. So the trick here is on the body. Let's see if I did everything wrong right here. So on the body, I'm just put this H screen, which I think that's gonna expand for the whole screen, the body. And I'm just gonna put flex, and I put flex Hope everything doesn't break. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, you can see that that whole container need to occupy the stretch to the whole thing. That's why this thing came back and it will stay here. Cool. Now let's me go. We're almost there. Almost there. A little bit of padding here. Let's do this. So next up, I'm just seeing if the code is all correct. So the main container, there are some classes that I was holding. I'll just item center. So I'll put the overflow because I'm just gonna do that after I do the JavaScript. I'm just trying to find why the input form is not centralized. I think it's MX auto, not max auto. And then that's gonna centralize the thing. Yeah, because and then it's gonna X is like the X axis. Margin X should be automatic. So I think we have almost everything. I just need to see why this is touching here. Can you see that we've got that extra top margin that's not being applied here? Let's see what's happening here. I think that's on the header. Is there a padding for chat container padding for? Okay, I think on the chat container there is a padding of 4 here that I haven't put. P4, and then I think that's gonna push everything in from the top to the bottom 4 pixels. Yeah, so that's that little push here. Yeah, that's the padding. Cool. Now it's almost the same. I think it's exactly the same. Let's do the JavaScript now. So this video is becoming too long, but I'm just gonna copy and paste the JavaScript code here. Now I'm just gonna write with you. So at the bottom of the body, after this last if, you do a script tag here, and then you can write JavaScript here. So there is something called document, which is the DOM. And then I'm just gonna use this get element by ID, and then I'm just gonna do the element called chat form, which is that form here. Oh, I haven't put an ID there. Let's do it. So I'm just gonna put an ID, which is gonna be chat form. Hope the spelling is correct. Chat form. So that's getting that element. And I'm just gonna get that, do event listening. So that's gonna be add event listener, and that's gonna be the event called submit whenever there is a submit of the form. And then I have to pass a callback function. So I'm just gonna put that function, and then that's gonna be the event. And let's see how it does it look like. And then I'm just gonna do a e.prevent default, otherwise the page will reload. And then in JavaScript, we've got this thing called event. Let's console log that thing and just console log the event just to see if everything is working. If I go here and inspect and I put console, and then if I submit something here, I'm just gonna get the event submit, which has got loads of properties. So far so good. So let's go back to my code, and then I'm just gonna do something with this event. What I'm gonna do, I'm just copy and paste now. So from this event, I'm just gonna create a constant that's gonna be get the message input, which is that one there. And also I'll have, I'm just gonna trim the message to make sure that all the empty spaces are removed. And then I'll create a new function to add message to the chat. And then I'll just put the whole thing, otherwise it's gonna be too long to write all this code with you. So I have the callback function that's gonna execute after the this function here, which has got a new function called as add message. The add message function is gonna handle adding message to the chat window. So it's gonna take two arguments, the text that I would like to add, and then also say which one is the sender. If it's sender, I'm gonna render a sender bubble. If it's assistant, I'm just gonna do assistant bubble, speech bubble. So I have the chat container, which is this one, and then I've got the message div. I just create that div. I get the current date, and then I have a if condition here. If the sender is user, I'm just gonna create that div with that class, with the class of the user, and I'm just having the inner HTML with that same configuration, but the paragraph is gonna be text, and the span, which is the time, is gonna be the current time. Otherwise, create a div element for with the same Tailwind classes, and the text is going to be the text, and that's it. So and then append the child on the chat container. That's it. It inject that HTML there. And then I'm also setting a timeout to whenever that executes, gives me 1000 milliseconds, and then add this fake message. So let's see if that one is working. So let's add test. And then there we go. I'll do another test. And then can you see that this thing is pushing to the back? And I want to resolve that. So for that, I create one thing called overflow. Let me do this right now. Let's see if I can fix that. So if I go on the, not on the forum chat, if I go on the body, on the main container, sorry, I add two other classes here. One is overflow hidden. So the overflow is gonna hidden behind the form. That's what it means. And also overflow y auto, which is overflow on the y-axis. And with that, I think that the problem is gonna be solved. Let's do test. Test again. Here we go. Beautiful. So it's overflowing underneath and on the y-axis. It's so good. So the last thing that I would like to do is to automatically scroll down to the last message. And then to finalize the long video, I'm gonna add here at the end I'm just also I'll call it the auto scroll. I'm just gonna create a variable called scroll container here at the top before the function. So that's the main container, which is the big one, this one, where we have the overflow. So once I declare that, I'm just gonna, oops, what did I do? I'm gonna create like a timeout as well. Set timeout, set timeout, and then I need to pass this error function. It's not a JavaScript video. And then I have the scroll container, and then I use the attribute of that to scroll top equals to is scroll container dot is scroll height. I'm just gonna scroll down to the height. The top is gonna be the height of that element at the time of the timeout. After how many milliseconds? I'll put a little bit after the message. I need a comma here, and that should be, and that's, I think we completed test, and beautiful. All right, guys, I hope that is very useful. I'm gonna just cut some parts of the video just to show only when I'm talking and not reading my cheat sheet. I hope you liked. If you are getting to front end, Tailwind is a good thing. Just before I go, all the documentation here on the website, and then you can see all the styling, let's say for colors, all the colors. If you wanted to see, let's say columns, how it works, what's the size of the column, and they have like the pixels and RAM, and some examples here, how you do like columns and how you, it's pretty good. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe, like the video, and see you next time.